Shemitah, give the land a break. You've heard of Shabbos.
It kind of sounds like the word stop.
And it also means stop.
It's that special seventh day of the week when all work stops. Jews throughout the world take a deep breath of relief.
All weekday activities come to a halt.
And we treat ourselves to some well-deserved rest.
And delicious Shabbos meals.
The table is beautifully set,
And we all partake of wine,
challah,
fish, kogo, cholent,
and yummy dessert, to name a few. And of course, we uplift our souls with song, prayer, and learning Torah.
Actually, there's another kind of Shabbos that comes once every 7 years. It's called Shemitah,
translated let go or release.
which is another kind of stop. It's an extraordinary year when Jewish farmers in the land of Israel stop working and let their land rest. For 6 years, farmers work in their fields.
They till the soil
Plant the seeds.
and water the plants.
When the time is right, they harvest tall stacks of grain and pick bushels of ripe fruits and vegetables.
Then, when Rosh Hashanah of the 7th year arrives,
The Shemitah year begins.
The farmers take a break. They don't pick up their hoes, their plows, or their water buckets.
they don't work the land at all for an entire year.
It's time for the earth to take a well-deserved rest, and for the hard-working farmers to be free to rejuvenate. Hashem commanded that all produce of the Shemitah year must be hefker, open to the public to be shared with all Jews. Jewish farmers in Israel unlock their gates, and anyone and everyone is welcome to help themselves.
The gate is open. Just walk in and take anything you can carry. Help yourselves. Enjoy! Enjoy!
Oh, thank the one above. We have much to be grateful for.
Hashem questions and Hashem answers.
And now for something completely different.
We'll start off with the question and a shazak scenario.
Farmer Kobe Kapitskowitz
No relation to Moskowitz.
makes a living off his farm. He works hard and sells his wonderful produce to the local supermarket. Thank God Kobe makes a decent living.
With a little tutoring on the side and some voiceovers for Shazak.
But then comes Shemitah. No sales. Kobe has a large family with huge appetites.
You may all be seated while dinner is being served.
Yummy.
Where's the beef?
I can't believe I ate the whole thing.
How can he afford to feed his family?
Where in the world would I get enough money to pay for food?
Actually, it's not an original Shazak question. It's Hashem's question.
And believe it or not, this is the only place in the Torah where Hashem asks a question and Hashem gives an answer.
Really? Wow.
Here's Hashem's question. And if you should say, what will we eat in the 7th year? We will not plant, and we will not gather our produce. And his answer, I will send my blessing for you in the 6th year. In that 1 year the land will give forth produce that will last for 3 years. Year 6, year 7, and year 8.
Wow, what an amazing miracle!
Indeed, in a Shemitah year we put our faith in Hashem. We trust that it is He who gives us food and takes care of us, not the land, not the sun, and not the rain.
So,
You may further ask,
if the farmer doesn't work for an entire year, what should he do with all his free time?
Learn Torah, of course. After all, Hashem's Torah never ends.
Yovel, Jubilee. It's Shemitah times 7. After 7 Shemitah cycles of 7 years, a total of 49 years, there's an extra special year called Yovel. The Yovel is the 50th year, and it sure is a big event. Yovel is similar to a Shemitah year, a Shabbos for Hashem. Farmers must keep all of the same laws as they do in a Shemitah year. They don't work their fields, and any produce that grows during that year is holy. So Jewish farmers in Eretz Yisrael don't work the fields for 2 years in a row, not in the 49th year, the Shemitah year, and not in the 50th year, the Yovel year. And once again, as a reward for the farmers' trust in Hashem, they were promised plenty of produce during the 48th year.
Enough to last them for the 48th,
49th,
50th,
and 51st year.
That's 4 years of produce.
Miracle of miracles!
Amazing. Amazing. Amazing.
Blow the shofar. Be jubilant. It's Yovel. But there's more to Yovel than just adding on one more year of no farming. In a Yovel year, on the holy day of Yom Kippur, the air is filled with the sound of the shofar blasting. The shofar blast announced,
Freedom! It's a holy year and time for all Jewish servants to go free. Proclaim liberty throughout the land.
every Jewish servant would leave his master's house as a free person. First, the great Sanhedrin, the group of 70 judges, blew the shofar. Then Jews all over Eretz Yisrael sounded their shofars. The sound of freedom would ring loud and clear. Whether the servant had worked for 1 day or 6 years, the message of the shofar told them,
It's time to say goodbye!
Even the ear-pierced servant back in Parshas Mishpatim, who really liked his master and was allowed to stay on as a servant for longer than 6 years, had to leave when Yovel came along. Hashem explained to Moshe the reason why this Shemitah release of servants was so important. For you are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. Yes, if Hashem wanted us to be permanent servants or slaves, there would not have been a grand exodus.
And we would still be slaves in Egypt.
Indeed, we are put on planet Earth not to serve other human beings, but to serve the one and only Hashem. So as soon as the shofar sounded, it was a new beginning, and now the servant could go back to serving his true master, Hashem, with 100% of his energy. Credit cards, snake bites, and compound interest.
Quite interesting.
After the Torah informs us how important it is to free servants, it instructs us of one way to help a person even before he reaches total poverty and is forced to become a servant.
It's the great mitzvah of lending someone money interest-free.
Here's how it works. Surely you've seen a little plastic credit card with a bunch of numbers on it. When someone uses the credit card, they are buying something with the bank's money and must eventually pay back the money to the bank.
Let's see how this works great for some people and for others. Oops!
Not very good at all.
Penny Payback is very careful to pay his credit card bills right on time. If he spends $500, Penny Payback pays back $500 and owes nothing more to the bank. Penny continues shopping and is very careful never to spend more than he can afford.
My name is Penny, and I will not spend 1 penny more than I can afford.
But 1 month Penny's oven breaks. so he uses his trusty credit card to buy a new oven with all the bells and whistles. He got it on sale for $1,000.
Oh wow, that was some incredible sale. A state-of-the-art oven, stylish, and with all the slick features. You name it, it's got it. And for the low, low price of only $1,000.
The next month, Penny gets a bill of $1,500.
His usual $500 bill.
Plus,
The extra $1,000 for the new oven.
But he only has enough to pay back $500.
Oh no!
That's no problem for the bank, because now it's their chance to make a lot of money.
Be our guest.
The bank tells Penny,
Pay us whenever you have a chance. But for this convenience, your bill will come out to, let's see, $1,000 plus $500 plus, let's see, it's 24% compounded daily, will be $134.22. That makes it a total of an uneven $1,634.22.
The extra amount of
$134.22.
is called ribis, interest.
if Penny can't afford to pay back the full amount owed, the following month he must pay interest on the interest. And if he doesn't pay in full, the amount keeps growing and growing every month.
Until the bill grows to thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yikes!
Oh no, this bill is so big that I will never, ever be able to pay back this money.
You could only imagine that in the olden days, if a person borrowed money and had to pay interest, and interest on the interest, oh no! That person would do anything to get out of this sticky mess.
Even selling themselves as a servant.
So Hashem says, when your brother is hurting and poor, stretch out your hand, support him, uplift his spirits, lend him money, but do not take interest. Help him so that he will not have to sell himself as a slave.
so if you lend him $500, let him pay back $500 and not a penny more.
Gornished.
The two Hebrew words the Torah uses for interest are neshech
A snake bite,
and marbus.
meaning more.
Well, interest is just like a snake bite, coming from the tiny fangs of a snake. Little by little, that neshech, snake bite, causes swelling and terrible pain.
That grows and grows and grows. Marbus and marbus. More and more ribis.
Oh no!
Now he'll have to work a second and third job in order to be able to pay back. It's as if he becomes a slave to the lender.
Ouch! That hurts.
The pain. The pain.
Is there a doctor in the house?
Serving a servant? Vechi yamuch achicha. When your brother is hurting and poor, Hashem continues, using the exact words of the previous mitzvah, not charging a Jew interest, which prevents him from being sold as a servant. This time, though, the situation is worse. He owes so much money that he is forced to sell himself as a servant. Thank God, being a servant for a Jewish master is not all that bad. That's because Hashem warns the master, do not make your servant do avodas perach, hard labor. Avodas perach was exactly what the Jews were forced to do in Egypt, hard work that makes no sense and has no purpose whatsoever. Let's rewind back to Parshas Shemos, to the episode of the falling cities.
Falling cities.
To make matters worse, the Jewish slaves were assigned to build and fortify the cities of Pison and Ramses. But there was a major problem. The Egyptian officers ran to Paro.
My Mighty Paro, the first one said, the Jews are building the cities of Pisum and Ramses on unstable ground.
The buildings will soon collapse and sink into the sand,
chimed in the second officer.
Great news!
Exclaimed Paro as he broke out with a broad smile.
Not only will the Jews be in danger of the buildings collapsing on them, but their work will never end. A total useless waste of time, blood, sweat, and tears.
Indeed, avodas parach is work for the sake of work, producing nothing.
Zilch, nada, gornished.
A useless waste of time, blood, sweat, and tears.
That's why our rabbis of old set up strict rules about how a master could treat his servant. For example,
a master must offer his servant the same tasty food he himself eats.
Also, as hungry as the master is, he must first feed his servant.
The servant must get the same comfortable kind of bed the master himself slept on. Ah, soft, fluffy pillows, blankets, and all.
And what if there aren't enough mattresses in the house?
You guessed it. The servant slept on the comfortable mattress, and the master slept on the floor.
Bottom line,
a Jewish master must treat his servant like a member of his family.
And certainly not like a piece of property.
Our wise Talmudic sages said it best.
Whoever buys himself a servant, it is as if he has bought himself a master.
Servant Rescue Squad. Once again, Hashem continues with the same theme. Your brother is hurting and poor. This time, though, this poor Jewish person sells himself as a servant, not to a Jew, but rather to a non-Jew.
And to make matters worse,
this non-Jew is an idol worshiper. Oy vey!
Watch out! This idol worshiper does not keep the Torah and is likely to treat him like a slave.
Nothing more than a piece of property.
Ouch! Besides this, Hashem doesn't want this Jewish person to be around idols. So Hashem says, let one of his brothers redeem him, either his uncle, cousin, or closest relative. Figure out how much money his master is owed and pay him. Hashem sums it up, for Bnei Yisrael are servants to me. They are my servants, whom I took out of the land of Egypt.
Remember that back in the book of Shemos?
Not really.
So play it again, Devorah.
Exodus! And so, over 3,000 years ago, 600,000 men, along with their wives and children, totaling over 2 million Jews, marched proudly out of Egypt. Not a dog barked as they left the land of slavery, with their hearts full of joy, heads held high, and songs of praise to Hashem on their lips. The Rambam's Tzedakah Ladder. Well, there you have it. Parshas Behar, a parsha of faith and freedom.
Faith in Hashem.
By not planting the entire year of Shemitah.
Freedom of servants and freedom for poor people.
By lending money without charging interest, or giving them charity before it is too late and they will be forced to be sold as a servant.
Did you know that there are different levels of giving tzedakah, charity?
Well, in case you didn't,
let's turn to the words of the great Rambam, where he paints a picture of a ladder with 8 rungs in order to teach us about the different ways of giving tzedakah.
To help us understand this better, we at Shazak took the liberty to change some wording of the Rambam and use Shazak names.
The wealthy person will be Ruby Reichelt, and the poor person, Feivel Flat Brokstein.
There are 8 levels in charity, each one higher than the other.
Level number 8.
Best of all.
At the top of the ladder is the gift of self-reliance.
When Ruby helps Fievel by giving or lending money so Fievel can start his own business, or by finding Fievel a job.
That is what the Torah states.
Here in Parshas Behar,
You shall support him, the stranger, the resident, and he shall live among you. Support him and lift him up before he falls and becomes needy.
You've probably heard the saying,
Give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach him how to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime.
Imagine how you helped lift this person's self-esteem. Now he doesn't feel like a poor charity case.
Level number 7.
The hidden giver and hidden receiver.
A lower level than this is when Ruby gives tzedakah to Fievel, but in a way that neither one knows the identity of each other.
This type of giving was demonstrated by the Lishkas Chashoin, the secret chamber that existed in the Beis Hamikdash. The righteous would make donations there for the poor in secret. Giving to a charity fund is similar to this.
oh my, so this is the source of the famous, you see it all over the place, charity can, aka tzedakah pushka.
Level number 6.
The hidden giver.
When Ruby gives tzedakah to Fievel without Fievel knowing who gave him the money.
Ruby knows that Fievel got his tzedakah, but Fievel doesn't know who gave it to him.
An example of this were the great sages who would go in secret and throw money into the doorways of the poor.
The Rambam is referring to the following classic example of a hidden giver. On a daily basis, the great rabbi Mar Ukva would secretly put money under a poor neighbor's doorstep. One day, this neighbor hid in order to find out who this secret tzedakah giver was.
Aha! Caught you in action! What's your name? Who are you?
The poor man shouted when he saw Mar Ukva from a distance holding his charity money. Mar Ukva didn't want to give him a close look, so he ran. But the poor man ran after him.
Don't run away! Don't run away! I just want to know who you are and thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Mar Ukva escaped by hiding in a hot oven.
Level number 5.
The hidden receiver.
When Ruby gives tzedakah and has no idea who will end up getting it, but Fievel, the poor person, knows the identity of the giver. It was Ruby.
Indeed, there were great sages who would bundle coins in a sheet and hang them over their shoulders, and the poor would come from behind and take the money without being noticed. This saved the poor from becoming embarrassed.
One of these sages was none other than the famous Rabbi Akiva. Think about it. Rabbi Akiva was a walking tzedakah pushka.
The next 4 examples are when the tzedakah giver and the poor person are face to face.
Level number 4.
Don't ask, I'll give.
Give money to the poor before being asked.
Here's a little extra cash just in case you need it. My treat.
Level number 3.
You ask, I'll answer.
Give money to the poor after being asked.
Well, okay, Fievel, here's some money for you to fix the broken fridge you told me about. Level number 2.
Happy and sort of helpful.
Give less to the poor than they actually need, but do so
cheerfully. Here's a nickel, Fievel, my good friend. Use it in good health. Very good health. And finally, the lowest level. Level number 1.
Giving and
growling.
At the bottom of the ladder is giving charity in a way that causes embarrassment to the poor person.
Fievel, my good friend, I'll give you money this time, but grow up. Get your act together and start making enough money to support yourself.
Rambam, Mishnah Torah, Laws of Giving to the Poor in Chapter 10. So there you have it, the Rambam's famous 8 levels of tzedakah. But whatever way you give, even the lowest level, it's still a big mitzvah. In fact, our sages of the Talmud say,
the mitzvah of tzedakah is equal to all the mitzvahs of the Torah combined.
More Pearls of Charity Wisdom. Here are some more tzedakah insights from the Rambam in his Laws of Giving to the Poor.
We are obligated to be careful in regard to the mitzvah of tzedakah more than any other mitzvah.
Charity is an identifying mark of a righteous person, a descendant of Avraham Avinu.
It is only through giving tzedakah Bnei Yisrael will be redeemed.
The great sages would give some coins to a poor person every time before praying.
It is actually better to give small amounts daily than giving one big donation and waiting a long, long time till the next donation,
even though it comes out to the same amount.
Anyone who shares food and drink with the poor and orphans at his table and calls out to Hashem in need, Hashem will answer him. I, the Rambam, promise a person will never become poor from giving tzedakah.
Rambam, Mishnah Torah, Laws of Giving to the Poor. Household members versus servants. We began the Parsha dealing with the Torah attitude of an Eved, servant or slave. We spent a lot of time dealing with the important mitzvah of tzedakah.
Thank you so much, Rambam.
So let's turn once again to the Rambam and see how he ties the two together, slaves and charity.
Our sages commanded that the poor and orphans should be members of a person's household, rather than having many servants. It is better for him to hire the poor and orphans, thus helping the descendants of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, rather than having them be servants to the descendants of Ham,
the son of Noah.
Whoever has many servants adds sin and transgression to the world every day. However, if the poor are members of one's household, at every hour he adds merits and mitzvahs.
Rambam, Mishnah Torah, Laws of Giving to the Poor. Next week's Parsha, the Chukosai, wraps up the book of Vayikra. We'll hear about the rewards Hashem promises us for keeping the mitzvahs, and about what will happen if we fail to keep them, and what Parsha would be complete without a few more mitzvahs. Tune in next week for another exciting episode of Shazak Parsha.